What's going on, D-Bags? Hope you guys are doing well. We're back here again with another episode of the Detox Podcast, episode 270 to be exact. And if you're new here and enjoy music, podcasts, comedy, or hooping videos, do consider subscribing. We've got a whole lot of that stuff going on around here. When you do subscribe, leave a like or hang out with us here in the live chat like you're going to do today. Helps us share conversations and laughs like this with more people. So do consider doing that. Helps us out a ton. Now, I've got an excellent guest set up for today. But before I can talk to you guys about my guest and introduce you to him, I got to talk to you a little bit about vacation time. It's vacation season, as I'm getting cut off on the screen there. Let's be real, man. There's nothing better than a well-earned vacation. It feels good to just get away from everything for a little bit. Whether you earned it or you didn't earn it, we all deserve to get away. And there's no better place to do it than with today's sponsor, Alpine House 2. Alpine House 2 is a classic Swiss chalet duplex A-frame with the log cabin interior located directly across from Ski Brûlée Resort in Iron River, Michigan. If you've never been up to Iron River, Michigan, it's beautiful, especially this time of year. And as we get into the fall and winter, even more gorgeous. And as the ski resort opens up, it's going to be really, really cool. And when I say directly across the street, I mean like least athletic person you know can hit that shit with a football. So literally right across the street, surrounded by forests, lakes, rivers, Iron River more specifically, and Alpine House 2 is the destination for fishing, hunting, hiking, and snowmobiling. Currently, Alpine House 2 is just actually finished undergoing a bunch of renovations, and they've added arcade games, they've added whole new spaces, they've got, I believe you can rent snowmobiles and stuff like that for this upcoming winter. So why not check out Alpine House 2 in Iron River, Michigan for your next crazy adventure or peaceful retreat. Alpine House 2 has got bookings up right now on Airbnb, as well as they're linked down below, their Instagram. You can reach out to them that way to book a vacation as well. That's at Alpine House 2 on Instagram. That's at ALPINEHAUS number 2 on Instagram. One last time, that's at Alpine House 2 on Instagram to stay up to date with more renovations, bookings, future stuff like that. Go take a vacation, guys. It's beautiful up in the UP if you've never been. Check it out, and shout out to Alpine House 2 for sponsoring this episode. Now, with all that good stuff out of the way, you can go back to one there. There we go. We got Alyssa behind the scenes today, first timer. With all that good stuff out of the way, I'm pumped to be kicking with my guest this week. She's an accomplished pastry chef, cake decorator, and the owner of Whisk Chick. Let's give a wet detox welcome to MK from Whisk Chick. She's here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really psyched to be here.
I'm excited to have you too. I know, like, I got put onto your stuff, I want to say a few months back, because we'll get into it a little bit later in the episode, but a friend of mine, you made a cake for them, a special cake for them, and I was like, holy shit, this person's in Milwaukee that's doing this? Like, that's incredible. And getting to watch some of your videos on TikTok and whatnot, which I'm sure we'll plug in a little bit, was crazy. But I'm curious, right off the bat, do you have a least favorite type of cake? Like, chocolate, confetti, vanilla? Like, is there like a worst cake?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm not a huge coconut fan.
People get coconut cake?
Well, I don't have it on my menu because I don't like it. But there's this one kind of cake that's like hummingbird cake, and there's like nuts and coconut and pineapple and like all kinds of weird stuff in it. And to me, I'm kind of like, I get it if that's your thing. Yeah. And there's all kinds of like more traditional like European fruit cakes and stuff that are just like not really my jam.
I hate that shit. My grandparents are Polish. They're gonna get mad at me because they watch the show sometimes. They love that, and some of my girlfriend's family loves like fruit and cake, but I cannot stand that little bit of fruit in the cake. Like, it's a great cake, and then you're just adding some. Why? I like fruit separately, man. Like,
well, okay, it depends though, because like a strawberry filling in confetti cake, delicious, 10 out of 10. Yes, but really? I mean like when it's like all kinds of weird stuff that people put in a cake. Yeah. And it is like totally a cultural thing. That is very European to have like a fruit cake that has like oranges and raisins, and it's like a really dense cake, and it's like soaked in some kind of like syrup. But no, I love a fruit filling. Like, I have lemon curd filling that's also really, really good. Okay. Again, a little bit biased, but I think it's good.
Interesting. Yeah, I like some desserts I'm cool with fruit integration, but I just have like a weird thing where like when you get like that, especially like that like fake like strawberry or like blueberry like filling, like I don't know, it's just gross. It's just
no,
gross.
I don't like the fake filling that they use in donuts, like a jelly donut. Yes. That's gross to me.
Yeah, and but sometimes that's like in cake or something.
Make fresh fruit filling, so it's actually really good.
Yeah. Okay, legit. Okay, so least favorite would be some variation of like a weird coconut-esque.
Yeah, pineapple, weird nuts. I don't like nuts in cake either. Not my deal. I make carrot cake, but I don't put nuts in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, when you were obviously being someone now who like you make cake for a living, like growing up, did you have like a birthday like that was like your mom made like a crazy good cake, or someone ordered a cake for you and you were like, oh my God, light bulb, this is what I'm gonna do? Like, when did you decide this was gonna be it?
So that's so funny. There actually is like one special occasion cake I got as a kid that I have 2 sisters, and all of us got like a super, super, super special, fancy, decked out cake for our first communions. And that's like the only time in our whole lives. And I have a feeling my mom just like wanted to make it more special because she was a lot more excited than we were about it. Yeah. Which is like very sweet looking back. She wanted to like make it extra special. But it was like a basket weave frosting pattern around the cake. And then it was a bunch of frosting flowers like coming out of it. Whoa. And it was like so intricate and so many colors and so beautiful. And I remember seeing that as a kid being like, I don't understand how someone could ever possibly make this with their own 2 hands. Yeah. And now I would love to see a picture. I don't think we even have any pictures of them, but like as a kid, it was like a whole crazy masterpiece. And now I'm sure I would still see it and say that's beautiful, but you know, when you're a kid, you have like rose-colored glasses on.
Yeah, definitely. That's super sweet of her to do. First off,
oh,
did she make it, or she
no?
Ordered
she ordered them. Yeah, and that's like we were not a family that was like doing special like cakes and parties and stuff like that. That was like very out of the ordinary. So it was like 3 like fancy custom cakes in our whole lives. But then for our birthdays and stuff, she would make cakes, and they were really cute and they were really great. What
kind of cakes was she making? What were you guys into? Was she like doing it like themed off like the stuff you guys were into at the time, or?
Yeah, to a level. It's funny, I only really know from like pictures. I don't remember any in particular, but we had this one like Barney figurine where it was like Barney in a car, and she used that same figurine for like all of our birthday cakes, like when we were like little.
Don't fix it if it's not broken.
No, exactly. We all love Barney, so like what's the problem? You know, sustainable. Just keep reusing the same.
Yeah, I remember my mom would try to make some cakes when I was growing up. She made some good cakes when I was growing up, and I remember specifically, I think when I was in like 2nd or 3rd grade, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith had come out, and that was a big deal. And she definitely made like some variation of like that like lava scene with a couple of my action figures. I just thought it was like the coolest thing that my action figures were on my birthday cake. Yeah. I'm like, holy shit. So I could see, that being the inspiration. How long have you been doing cakes professionally?
Okay, so technically I started like my first bakery job when I was in high school. This is actually also kind of a funny story. I was working at Michael's Arts and Crafts store, and these ladies were checking out with like a zillion like Halloween decorations. And I was asking them about them. I think I was a junior in high school, and maybe it doesn't matter, junior or senior in high school. And they're like, oh, we own a bakery, we're doing this decoration for our bakery. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I think I want to do after high school. I just like was a hobby baker, and it was a big like stress like coping thing for me. It was just like going home baking like 100 chocolate chip cookies. God damn. I would do that like all the time in high school. Like, it's actually unhinged, but ask anyone like who's in like band at my high school, they know. I would literally bring a Tupperware full of like 50 to 100 chocolate chip cookies like every week and just give them to people.
Because you were the plug, dude.
I literally was the plug. And then I remember I tried selling them one time, and people were like, no.
They're like, no. Like,
they're like, we'll take them for free, but
yeah, that's crazy, dude.
Okay, so then I basically told these ladies at the Michael's checkout line, like, oh, that's what I want to do after high school. And they were like, have you ever worked in a bakery before? And I said no. And they kind of looked at each other, and they were like, you really should before you decide if you want to do that. So like, you should stop in and get an application.
Wow.
And so I did that the next day, and then I got a job there.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and started as like seasonal, because it was like right around Halloween time. Yeah. And then they kept me on, and that's also where I learned a lot of the fundamentals of like running an actual bakery. So of course I was kind of stuck with all of their like dirty work, because I mean, that, bottom of the totem pole, like I wouldn't expect anything else. Like, of course I was, but it was very
probably
good
eye-opening
to get that firsthand and know, like, if you want to do this, like, this is all the other stuff that you also have to do. As simple as like sweeping and mopping every day, or like folding cake boxes, or like scooping cupcakes. Or one of the like biggest lessons I got from that job was how to like properly deliver a wedding cake, because I would come on deliveries as like a 17-year-old, which was so fun for me. I thought it was so cool. Yeah.
What are the ins and outs of delivering a cake? Because we were joking before we went live that that's something that people that don't know much about making cakes or not, someone who just like watches Cake Boss, every once in a while.
Right.
That seems like the hardest part in a lot of ways. It's like, yeah, we spend all this time making this beautiful cake, but then we also, it's like, shit, well, we can't, they're not eating it here. We have to go bring it somewhere.
Exactly.
So what was that like at 17, delivering a cake?
Like, so fun for me, but also I could tell how stressful it was for them. And I was mostly like holding doors, like setting up cupcakes. Like, I wasn't carrying actual big cakes. But oh my Lord, yeah, it was nuts. Like, it's just a difficult process. Like, any way you slice it, like it's just a logistical nightmare. You have to like get the cake into the car, make sure that it's like stable, it's not going to slide around. I use like non-slip mats all over my whole trunk of my car.
Yeah.
And then you have to drive like 5 miles an hour around turns. It's like once you're on the freeway, you're good. A lot of times I don't even have to get on the freeway for deliveries because my kitchen is downtown. Yeah. Where I am now, not the place I worked in high school. They were out in the suburbs. Yeah. And I have this like magnetic bumper sticker that I stick on my bumper when I do deliveries, and it says slow vehicle, cake on board, and it's like a yellow like actual like warning sign.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I respect
but I'm
that.
like, I need people to take this seriously because like I understand if you're stuck behind someone who's going over like a bumpy Milwaukee road with like a million potholes in it. Yeah, you knew exactly what I was gonna say. Yup. They know like, okay, sorry, I'm not going 5 miles an hour, like, to piss you off. It's because I have a 4-tier cake in the back of my car. Yeah. And I'm trying not to lose my mind.
So, okay, is it safer then for me if I'm transporting a big cake or an important cake? It would be better to put it in the trunk versus like the front seat or back seat?
Yes. I always tell people the floor of your car or the trunk is the safest spot. Honestly, the best place for it is your passenger side floor, because also you can put the AC on your feet, and then that helps a lot. Even now, still, with like just 2-tier wedding cakes or smaller cakes, if I have a delivery, that's where it goes, because that's where it's going to stay the coolest, and then it's not going to slide around as much. But no seats, because the seat's tilted.
Yeah, and they're at an angle sometimes. So that just promotes it. That's interesting. So I used to deliver pizzas. That my parents owned a pizza place, and I know like pizzas slide like a bitch all the time. So I imagine cakes is even more so.
You got stacked boxes.
Yeah, you got 4 or 5 boxes of pizzas. Some of them, if you got like, cheese just a cheese pizza is going to slide because it's so light. Versus like if it's got a shit ton of toppings, it's just heavier. It's going to sit a little bit easier.
Something
so, like,
I've never thought about ever.
It's really not that big of a deal. It's not like some science that delivery drivers need to know, but it is, just something that like you don't think about until you do it. And I imagine the same thing with like cakes.
Exactly. Or I have someone like pick up a cake and they're like holding it under one arm, and then they have like their kid, or like they're holding a coffee or something, and they like get to their car and realize like, it really stresses me out sometimes seeing people like leave the bakery with a cake and clearly they have like no idea how to take care of it. And at that point, it's like, it's not my problem anymore. But obviously, like, especially if it's, and I'm going to be real here and I'm sorry to do this, but a lot of times it's husbands picking up cakes like for their wives or like for their girlfriends or whatever. Yeah. And the guy's just like so clueless, like just like holding it with one hand, like holding the sides. And I literally sometimes I'm like, I have to like give them this whole speech before I even like hand it to them because they're making me so nervous. And I'm like, for the sake of your person who you're doing this for, I want to make sure that I do her a solid by like talking you through this. But then of course, also a lot of times it's like, oh, I'm just like delivering a cake. Like, how hard can it be? Like, I'm an adult, like I'll figure it out. And it's like, no, but you really should know like how to do this right. So
well, and I mean, people are like, you're totally right. Some people just don't have any idea, and it's definitely a lot of dudes. I handed a pizza to a guy one time at his house. He grabbed it from me, and then immediately like held it from the side and turned around. I don't know how high he was or what, but
I was gonna say there are substances involved.
And I'm like, bro, like that whole pizza's flipped upside down now. Like, I don't know, like. You're like, okay, well, you paid me already, so I'm gonna leave.
Yep, not my problem.
Yeah. That's so I imagine that's crazy. So, what other tips do you have for someone that's maybe has to say they got a cake from you and they picked it up or something and they're leaving? What other tips would you give them to get it back home safe?
Okay, this is my spiel. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're my customer, okay, so I'm handing you the cake, and you say, okay, thanks. Do you need anything else? And I say, nope, we're all good. But okay, ready? Here we go. Enter script. Okay, great. So
you hand me the cake. I'm gonna take it. Awesome, thanks. Anything else? We good?
Yeah, so all good to go, all paid up. So just when you're handling the cake, make sure that you hold it from the bottom, not the sides. You don't want to press in on the sides of the box. Make sure you're holding it from the bottom with 2 hands. Mm-hmm. And then in the car, you're going to want to put it on your passenger side floor or in your trunk, but definitely not on a seat because it might slide around. Yeah. And then once you get it home, get it into the fridge right away. And it should stay refrigerated until about 2 to 3 hours before you plan on actually serving it. And that way it has time to come up to room temperature. Yeah. Then that frosting will get nice and soft again. So you shouldn't serve it directly out of the fridge. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't, but that was excellent spiel.
That's my spiel. I've said those sentences strung together like a million times, I feel like.
Yeah. Do people ever get home and like, do they ever like message you like, oh, I fucking slid this cake? Like,
okay, thankfully, no. I've never had someone like come to me with an issue after, but I've definitely had people text me about like, wait, how do I serve this? Or like, how do I slice this? Especially with taller cakes, like it's tricky. I get that. It's intimidating if you've never done it before.
I've never cut even like a 3-tier cake. Like how do you cut or serve a 3-tier cake?
You would like take off each tier. Yeah. So you would take off the top tier and then cut it, and then you take off the second tier and then you cut it. But there's like a lot of dabbles involved. I would say usually it's not your ordinary person cutting a 3-tier cake. If you're ordering a cake that big, you probably have a catering service that will do it. Gotcha. But my biggest tip just for your everyday cake consumer is to cut like square or rectangular slices, not triangles.
Wow. Okay.
Not
Why?
like pizza style. So you get more servings out of it, and it is just easier than trying to like wedge out a huge like a skinny triangle.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
I could see that, especially because cakes they're a lot taller than, for instance, a pizza, right? That's like it's like I have to cut through more than like if you're just cutting something or like a pie or something like that.
And if they're super tall, you're even cutting the slices like horizontally. So you're cutting it vertically, but then you're cutting the super tall slice in half. Yeah. And then it's 2 servings.
Oh yeah, you're getting a bunch then.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So okay, how servings wise on a like one is it a 1-tier cake? Is if it's just one, right?
There's like a 6-inch cake or an 8-inch cake.
And then we get into like 2-tier and 3-tier.
Yeah. So
how does servings work for that kind of thing?
I just have like, my smallest custom cake is a 6-inch round, 3 layers. And that serves like around 12 people. Okay. And then my next size up would be an 8-inch round, which serves like up to 24 people. So then when people order say they want to order a 2-tier cake, usually for a wedding slices tend to be a little bit smaller than party slices. I say that's around like 35 to 40 servings.
Okay.
So you just have to like do all the math, and then once you do it once, it's just done, and now it's just on my website forever, and I never have to think about it again.
Yeah. Okay.
They just have the reference.
Yeah, that's legit. I'm curious. So like we're gonna pull up some of your cakes in a little bit here. Mm-hmm. Like I want to know like what some of these like process that went into it, how much it serves, like how I don't know, like just sort of everything about it. I'm curious, Alyssa. Do you mind pulling this up? Do you want to hit the corner thing there? Can you click that rainbow looking one there with the splatter there?
Oh, that's like a longer. I'm sorry, that's not actually a.
That's not it. That's not.
No.
Can you just scroll down? There was a tier. Yeah, the all the way to the right there. Is that the actual video? Yeah. Wait. This is you actually decorating this one?
Yes.
And I think the sound is off, so we're good there.
Yes.
Okay, so I have to ask you one thing right off the bat because my girlfriend watches a lot of your videos. When did you like? You're like, hi guys is like hello, like you're hey.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. The hi is like I hear that when I'm like I'll be like cooking something and I can hear her on the couch like and I'm like, oh my god, you're watching the video. Where did that come from? Was that like conscious or did you just do that a few times and then it was like, okay, now that's my thing?
So I did it like a couple times because also I say it in real life all the time, especially if I'm on the phone and I'm like calling someone. They're like, hey, I'm like, hi, like da 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 da. So it is actually how it's not fake. That's just how I say hi, like to my friends or in my family. Like it's just I'm a very like I don't know, just sometimes peppy, like over the top. Like so I think I did it like once in a video or something. Or I don't remember. I had trouble figuring out how I start videos, and I noticed that a lot of people have like a signature thing that like is on the screen or that they say. Yeah. To start a video so that people like know that it's them. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll just start doing that. And now I get that comment all the time where people are like, I love hearing the little intro and then like I know it's you, and I get that comment all the time, which is so sweet. And then it's like, yep, it worked. Yeah. Did exactly what I needed it to do.
It's perfect. Yeah. I'm curious. Okay, so like a cake like this. First off, what is this cake? What is this for? What are we doing here? And I'm curious, like, how many people does this serve? Because this is massive.
Okay, this is massive, and if you do go watch the TikTok, you can hear me talk all about it, but it is actually a styrofoam cake. It's not a real cake. So this was made specifically for a photo shoot. But I could make it out of real cake. I just had to transport it to Madison, so I made it a little differently than I would make a normal cake because of transport. And so it's just styrofoam base. I covered it in fondant, and then all the piping that you see on it is royal icing, so it dries nice and hard. But usually I would never use royal icing on a cake. This one is tough because it has a lot of exceptions. But if this was a real cake, and I could make this out of real cake, 100%. Yeah. If someone ordered it, let's see, this was a 6-inch round on a 10-inch round, 6, 8, 10-inch round. So that smallest tier on the top is 6 inches in diameter. Yeah. And I think they're all 6 inches tall, which would be a size of my like normal standard cake as well. And math. I think this cake would feed right around like 80 people.
Wow. Holy shit. Yeah, it's insane. I mean, so this is you said it's a styrofoam?
Yeah.
Styrofoam? Okay. Mm-hmm. That's, I imagine, for people that don't know cakes, right? Is that's a common thing people are going to do in like photo shoots and whatnot?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. It's a dummy cake. Or like if you see a cake in the front window of a bakery, it's not real cake. It's just styrofoam. Yeah. Sometimes people use real cake, and I'm like, that's kind of crazy because don't you get like flies and it rots and stuff?
Yeah, wasteful. Like if any sunlight hits it, it's going to be trash in a couple hours.
Yeah. So yeah. But dummy cakes like this will last like forever.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. You can hit back to 1 and 2, Alyssa. I'm curious. When you do you have like do you ever have the like Dairy Queen ice cream cakes? Do you mess with those ever? Or did you ever?
God, I love those.
Okay, yes. I was curious if you had like a strong opinion.
I knew like when I was a kid, like some of my friends would have those at their birthday parties, and like the like crunch center, the like fudge crunch. Oh, so good. Yeah, still hits. Still so good. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, why would you ever spend $100 on a birthday cake when you can go get an amazing Dairy Queen cake? Like, I also think that they're so good. Yeah. But obviously they're not quite as like grand. No. I understand that's like just what a lot of people want.
Yeah. So when I'm curious. So like, we'll kind of take it back a step. So you meet these ladies at a Michael's, and then you start baking that way professionally, right? Yeah. Like you're getting paid to start baking, working in a bakery. Mm-hmm. When did you decide? Because like being in a bakery versus and like having, enjoying making cookies and whatnot is maybe different than like doing these grand cakes. I know you do like cookies and stuff like that too. You do other types of baking as well. But like, when did you sort of get the pull to like do these more? I don't know what style you would call this. Like, they're more custom style cakes. Like,
yeah. Okay. So I went to Milwaukee Area Tech College after high school, and I did their baking and pastry arts program. So it's a 2-year program. Nice. Yeah, it's actually a really good program. Like in terms of tech colleges and their baking programs, like Milwaukee has a really, really, really good one, especially compared to tech colleges like anywhere in the Midwest or in the US in general. Like for the quality of education you're getting for the price, that is so much, like a tiny fraction of what you would pay at like
a huge
big culinary school. People go to culinary schools. So you couldn't go to like UW-Madison and get a baking and pastry arts degree, but there are like the like Culinary Institute of America, or there are like bigger schools. There was the French pastry school in Chicago that was super, super famous, and unfortunately they closed like during COVID, which was like a huge deal that they closed. So okay, I went to MATC.
Do you have big classes there? Is it like big? Like, is there a lot of students going to like?
No, it's usually like anywhere from 10 to like 24 kids in one class. College students. A lot of them, this is like a second career choice. So like a lot of people there were in their like later 20s, 30s, even 40s. Yeah. Because it is, again, it's a much more accessible way to like try this as a career as opposed to dropping, oh my God, like so many thousands of dollars.
I mess with like 2-year schools and all these like technical colleges big time. I played basketball at a small school in Janesville for a couple of years, and like I'm so glad I started my college career that way. Saved a ton of money. I made money going to college my first 2 years because my family was like lower income bracket, so it was like my Pell Grants covered it and some, so I can't like speak praises enough for like smaller schools. Go to, if you can, if you want the big school, I'm not saying don't do that, but if you can and like you don't really care about all the other stuff, like save the money, get the stuff. You're gonna get the same thing that other people are getting, probably better because class sizes are smaller. And, you know, it's just,
and it's in your
intimate.
community too. You're not traveling for school. And now there's connections I made at MATC that I still have. That's huge. That's a huge reason anyone even goes to college in the first place, is for the connections. I'm so with you. I cannot like saying higher prices of going to a tech college. There's so many trade jobs. It's so much less money. I had very, very minimal student loans that I paid off within a couple years. And a lot of my friends are sitting on like 20, 30K debt, even some of them a lot more than that. And who knows how long they're going to be paying that off. Yeah,
dude. And that's tough. And it's like, I totally get it. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's like days where I'm like, oh, it would have been cool to go to wherever. But
no,
like,
listen, I get it.
But it's like, dude, I don't know. The fact that I was, making money to get my degree was kind of nice. So, and then too, the connections you're making. And like you said, being in your community, especially now that you are like, fully you're making cakes for people like in your community. I'm sure you've probably had some people maybe that you met through school, maybe not in the culinary section completely, but like in MATC that you've probably made cakes for, or maybe they went there and they find out that you went there. And then there's that connection too. So
exactly.
So you're going there, and then when did you decide cakes?
Getting sidetracked. So I loved cake decorating, like from the get-go. That was always like the artistry of it. I was like so invested, so into it. But working at that small bakery in high school, I just saw how much work it really is and how much it like truly like takes over your life. And like it's hard also because you see like all the mistakes that they're making, and it's like, well, maybe if I did it, it wouldn't be like that, but it's so much easier said than done. And it just like the working every weekend, the stressful long hours, the like breakdowns before Saturdays with like a million pickups in there, pulling all-nighters, and like I was like, I'm not built for that. I will not be doing that. I'm not interested in running a business at all. So I worked for Bartolotta's restaurant company at Harbor House on their like pastry team for over a year. Loved it. Loved that job. Cannot say enough good things about that job. But it kind of was just like a pastry cook job. Like it is what it is. So I got offered a job at a different bakery that I will not name because I hated working there. And I worked there for like a year, and basically this whole time I was kind of like making cakes out of my house on the side, just like for funsies, for some extra cash. And then I got to a point where I hated my job so much, and I had enough momentum with the cake stuff to like make a leap and quit. And I never thought that was a choice I would make, but a kitchen space like lined up, right place, right time. I quit. I was so happy to be like finally free from working for somebody else. It was just like,
what did you hate? What's like something that can make you dislike? You were a pastry chef at that time? At this other place? What's like terrible at being a pastry chef? Like what's like the hard stuff?
I mean, the work itself was great. It was my boss and the work environment and the like unrealistic expectations, just different communication. I mean, was not the place for me.
I saw something recently that's like, it said that people don't quit. A lot of times people don't quit jobs, they quit managers. And that is so, I mean, that's just anybody that's ever had a job knows that that's what it's like.
Exactly.
Having a good or a shitty manager can really make or break a job. So that's fair. Well, that's awesome though that you made the leap. Was it around that time that you started, like how soon, like when were you posting stuff online about cakes?
For like since high school. It was always a side hustle. And now I've deleted most of that stuff from, I think, you know what? I think I started my Instagram account when I started the baking program in college. And then like I just kept the same account. It was MK Bakes at the time.
Okay.
And then I changed it. I did a rebrand.
When did you get on TikTok to start posting it? Because that's what like, that's how I found you. And it's like you were doing crazy numbers over there, and I'm like, yo, this is awesome. And then I saw you did stuff with the Bucks, and maybe we'll get into some of that in a minute. But like, when did you decide like, oh, maybe I should start making videos about this stuff?
So it was like during COVID, like most people, I saw a lot of success like with baking videos, and I always had an excuse for why I didn't want to do it. Like, oh, you have to like set up your camera and then you have to go back and edit it, and it's just like a whole other struggle. And I also had my other job still at that time, so it was just like too much. And then I saw how successful other people were at it, and I'm like, well, anything to help the biz, right? Like TikTok helps a lot of small businesses, so I was like, I'll give it a shot. And then I had like a couple videos that did like pretty well in the first like year or two, but then I didn't have videos that actually started popping off until like, I actually don't even remember. It was like the end of 2021, I think.
Do you remember the first video that like cake or whatever that like people were like, holy shit?
Yeah. It was of like vintage heart cake, and it was like pink and orange, and it had like glitter cherries on it. And I remember this client had like a very specific idea of what she wanted. She wanted like a vintage style cake, but she wanted it to be heart shaped, and she wanted these colors and this and that. And there was like no inspo on Pinterest, on the internet. Like I could barely find anything that was similar to what she was looking for.
Yeah.
Like such limited options. And then I just kind of like went with the flow. I was like, I don't really do heart-shaped cakes, but like, oh, okay, whatever, it's fall, like it's slow, whatever, I'll take it. We'll see how it goes. And now like most of my cakes are heart-shaped.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy.
So yeah.
Can you look that up? Is it still up there somewhere?
It's somewhere. You might have to scroll for a little while.
What if you type it, maybe pull up a separate tab and type that in? Because it would have been labeled that, right? Or somewhere there would have been like
somewhere.
Vintage heart shape.
Yeah, if you just search like Whisk chick, pink and orange,
I'd be
heart cake, TikTok vintage.
Yeah, use your Alyssa's a detective, so she can find it.
Okay, perfect.
She's like Batman, like with time and prep, she can do anything.
Amazing. Okay, wait. I think. Oh wait, no, keep scrolling. No, that's my Instagram. Ah, dang.
Well, that's all right. I just wanted to see if we could pull it up, but if not, I mean,
if you want to crop this out, I'll go find it.
No, that's
quick.
Yeah. No, I mean, maybe you can send it to me or whatever if you.
Oh,
got
sure.
A picture
Okay.
of it.
Yeah.
We'll pop it in or something, but.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's crazy. I see. That's what it's interesting when you were saying that you're like, oh, I don't do heart-shaped cakes.
Yeah.
And scrolling through like the recent stuff, it is a ton of heart-shaped cakes.
Well, and then those were the videos that really started blowing up. I had another one that was heart-shaped that like did like crazy numbers for Milwaukee like creative. She's a graphic designer, and now we're still like friendly. I made her birthday cake this past year too, which is kind of funny.
Excellent.
Whitney Anderson Nettles, if anyone knows her. She's an incredible designer. Shout out, Whitney.
Excellent. Well, that's what, like, so I mean, how did that, like, what was your perspective then as you were, because I mean, you maybe saw it working for other people, and maybe, you were hesitant, but then you get into it, and eventually, you do see some success. Like, you get a couple videos that pop off. Are you like, okay, maybe I got to really like pay attention to this. I got to focus. I should do some more of this so that it can help my business. And I'm curious, do you see a lot of business because of this? So
much, yes. And there was definitely a point I reached maybe like a year or two ago when it was just like so many inquiries that I just like couldn't even get back to everyone. And I feel like I'm in a perpetual state of that.
Catch up?
Of catch up. Which is such a blessing. Like, every business owner's dream is to have like more business than they can handle, but I still feel like I still handle it poorly. Like, being a business owner is so hard, and a lot of my fears that I originally had about it have come true. Like, they're still real. I think I manage my like work-life balance a lot better than some business owners. Part of that is that I don't have any staff, which helps a lot. I'm just like a free woman to figure my shit out and get it done when it gets done. But like, it's so hard. I still make mistakes. I still make like big mistakes. It's so hard running a business. Yeah.
What are the things that stress you out the most, or the things that maybe the mistakes that you do make that end up stressing you out?
It's just like admin work is so hard to keep up with. It's like having two jobs, like actually doing the baking decorating part and then doing all of the like order processing, like contacting people about their orders, like actually physically like reading the order form, responding to them, taking their order, sending the invoice, making sure like setting up a pickup time. And it sounds so straightforward, and it is, but it just like trips me up so bad. And then it's tough because now like I can't get back to everyone, and that like kills me. And there's so many things where I know I'm doing a bad job and I need to be better at it.
Well, I mean, give yourself some credit. I mean, you're doing everything yourself, and I imagine it is, as somebody that has their own small business, it is like, it is a whole thing, right? You're wearing a ton of hats. Like, you're doing the thing, but you also have to do all the stuff to like you're running the race. You're also coaching the person who's racing. You're also like driving the team to the place. Like, you're doing everything to even get you to a place to make the cake and give them the cake.
But then, okay, true. But I would say then that's not a successful team. That's not a successful runner.
Yeah.
Then you need to delegate better, or you need to hire someone, or you need to.
Is that in the cards? Do you think you're going to do that maybe, or?
It's scary. It's hard. It is scary. I think if I were to hire someone, like ideally I would be able to hire someone to help with the admin stuff.
Yeah, just like administrative stuff.
But like all of that stuff is communicating with clients about their orders and like designs and colors, and I can't just hand that off to somebody else.
Yeah.
I think if anything, over time I would hire just like a baker to help on like Mondays and Tuesdays, get some of the really standard baking stuff, like bake all the cake layers, get that out of the way, and then I can come in and decorate them later. Yeah. It's hard. I travel a lot, and I just have like a lot going on. There are some weeks I don't take any orders, so it would just be really hard to find the right person who would be willing to
work an interesting schedule.
Yeah, because it would be hard. I mean, it would be a shitty job. Like, I don't know. Like, don't want to put that on anyone.
Yeah, but that is tough. That's hard. I mean, maybe there's a way you can, you seem like a smart girl. I'm sure you can figure out a way to like make that work. And maybe there is a way that like an admin position can work where you're not having to, if you find someone you can trust, then they can be like, hey, this person's, they want to change this or they want whatever. And you can just be like, tell them this. And if you and that person have a good enough relationship, maybe they can, speak on behalf of you to just get back to them. And you don't have to physically type everything out. And maybe that would be a little less daunting, but it'd still be tough. You'd still have to talk to people. So
what I really, I lost my train of thought.
What are we doing to take this to the next level? I think that's kind of what we're getting at.
Oh, yeah. I think what I remembered, what I really want to do is schedule in blocks and be like, now I'm booking for May. Now I'm booking for June. Now I'm booking for July, and just book those months like a month or two in advance so that I'm not worried about like, I don't know. I think that'd be a lot more straightforward. I know that's how tattoo artists do it too.
That's what I was gonna say,
I'm like, that makes sense to me. I need to figure out how to implement that because that's so smart. And
then you would know how much income's coming in, so you could know how much you could maybe afford to pay a second person if you had to pay somebody, whatever. You would everything would be set up ahead of time. That would be cool.
Yeah, it's so much easier said than done.
Yeah, I believe you. It's crazy. I'm curious. So you've been doing this stuff on social media now for a bit, and seen great success on that, and it's translated into real life success in the business.
Yeah.
What has been maybe the like weirdest request that you've gotten?
I get weird requests all the time. Usually I don't take those orders, but the one order I can think of that was really weird that I did take, because it was like a favor for someone I knew, was for there was like an infamous like English teacher at my high school. Like everyone has a whack English teacher, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And like I also, like, his wife was my math tutor for 3 years. Like, we know their family really well. They're like friends of ours. And someone wanted cookies of his face for like his birthday. Yeah. And he's bald. Okay. And that was a struggle. That was so hard. I had to like call up my sister, who is like really good at like drawing and stuff like that, because I'm not really good at that stuff, and be like, I don't know how to do this. But it wasn't, it's like I could have said no, but it's like they kind of knew they would be creepy and they thought that would be funny. Yeah. So those still live. Probably there's a photo of them somewhere on Facebook, not on anything Whisk Chick related. Yeah. But that was weird. I get a lot of like requests for bachelorette cookies, and sometimes those are gross. Yeah. And I just say,
I can imagine you get some like,
no thank you.
Yeah, some genital. They're like, can I get some genital cake done?
Oh, there was this one trend that was like big on TikTok, or on I keep seeing it on Pinterest, where it was like, oh, that's so gross. It was like boxer shorts with like an imprint in them.
As a cake?
As cookies.
Whoa.
And I was like, I see how they did that. Like, I can understand how they made it look like that. And that's revolting and disgusting, and I'll never do that.
It's not your vibe? Yeah.
No. So sometimes with specifically like bachelorette stuff, people want like crude cookies.
Yeah.
And I'm just not interested.
No, yeah. And I mean, and you have enough other stuff going on where you don't have to take it, so that's also nice.
Yeah. The most like racy thing I guess I'll do is I've made like lingerie cookies, but that's like artistic, you know, they're like pretty and frilly and like fun, so I'll do that.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a line that I do not cross.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you're not gonna make anybody's nipples into a cake.
No,
I respect that. I respect that. Better than me, I probably would. I'm curious, maybe along the same lines, how do you pipe? What are the pro tips to piping?
Okay.
In a non-crude way.
Yeah.
How do I, if I want to get better at piping at home, and I maybe I shouldn't make that gesture, but you know what I mean. What are the keys? What should I do?
I assume you're referring to like the
frosting.
piping bag of frosting
Yes.
with the piping tips. Like we just watched that video. That was all piping techniques.
Yeah.
People love to make that joke in my TikTok comments.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I'm like, okay.
Are you over it by now?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
But also, TikTok is full of like 15-year-olds, so you gotta give them that. Know your like piping tips, what you're working with.
Yeah.
I always say don't try to like use the whole bag of frosting at once.
Yeah.
I kind of like, I don't know how to describe this without like literally holding it in my hand, but I kind of just use a smaller portion. It's not great for an audio medium to try to explain this to you.
That's fair. That's okay. That's all right.
But just practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was like maybe one of the more difficult skills you picked up through whether it was school or just making cakes over and over again that like has, now that you have this skill or you feel competent in it, it kind of took making cakes to the next level or designing them? Like what was the one thing you just couldn't wrap your head around at the start, or maybe you were scared to do?
Fondant is scary.
It's a cool name though. I remember watching like Cake Boss and shit, or like Next Great Baker, and they'd always be talking about fondant. I'm like, that it looks cool. I don't know if it tastes that good, but it looks cool. Like,
I think it tastes fine.
Yeah.
People love to be dramatic about fondant, and I think that's because they're used to seeing like an inch thick, like of fondant on a whole cake. And it's like, first of all, no one's forcing you to eat it. You don't have to eat it. Just peel it off. That's fine. It's not like the fondant police is gonna come like arrest you for not eating fondant that's on your slice of cake. Like, people are so dramatic. I think it tastes fine. I think it just tastes like sugar. But there's definitely different like materials or decorating elements. Like some people use wafer paper, some people use ganache. And I feel like most cake artists kind of like specialize in one of those things, or they're like, I don't touch that. Yeah. So to answer your question, yeah, I guess the tall cakes were really daunting at first, like tall wedding cakes, just because they're like scary to transport and they're scary to get all the supports.
How do you stack a cake?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Okay, so you have your base tier, right? And then you have dowels that you put in, or like supports. So I used to use boba straws. Now I use, they're still like straws technically, but they're really thick plastic. They're made to be used in cakes, and they're little, they're just like your average restaurant straw. They're just like super thick plastic. Yeah. And you just trim them to the right size, and then
how much
you
should I
stick
be putting
them
in each side? Like how much should be going into the bottom cake, and how much should be sticking out? Like how many
so
inches
they're
do
the
I need?
exact same height as the tier.
Oh, okay.
So when you're frosting the second tier, you have the cardboard plate that's under the actual cake, and then that gets completely covered. So when you see a big tiered cake, each tier is actually on top of like a cardboard circle in the cake. So then the cardboard circle holding the cake rests on the dowels. So that's how it doesn't all just like sink and fall apart. There's like a whole structural, and then you have one big dowel or multiple big dowels going through all of the tiers, the whole cake, so that they all like stay together. But it's like a whole support system in there. It's like architecture.
Yeah.
You can't just like put a bunch of cake and frosting together and like expect it to not fall apart.
You're playing cake Jenga, dude. That's crazy. That's intimidating. I would be scared to do that for the first time.
Yeah. It's like once you know how to do it, you kind of figure it out. But there's definitely like little tips and tricks that you can only figure out from like doing it.
Yeah. You never had a cake fall on you?
On me, no. But for Valentine's Day this past year, I do like a mini heart cake sale, and you know, people can like put whatever words they want on it. Mm-hmm. And I was all finished for the night. It was probably like 1 a.m. and I was getting them all like into the fridge, and I dropped 2 like face first onto the floor, and then I had to remake those at 1 a.m. and I was so over it. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
like, I just spent all this work.
Yeah.
But like, it could be so much worse. Like, I've never dropped like a wedding cake or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or even a birthday cake. I don't think I've ever like dropped.
Yeah. Do you do any, do people ask for like theme, like IPs, like big themed IP cakes? Like how my mom made like a Star Wars cake when I was little. Do people,
yes.
Well, how does that work? Do you do those or do you not do those? No.
I mostly don't do them because I don't want to.
Yeah.
But also my like way out kind of, which is a totally legitimate reason for not doing them, is that it's copyright. So I say if someone really wants it, or they want like a pretty minimalist design, say it's like Toy Story, they want a really minimalist design and they want the figures on top. I'm like, okay, so I can't make the figures because they're copyrighted like characters, but you can buy Star Wars toys and ship them to me and I'll put them on your cake.
Yeah.
And if you're paying for them separate of the cake purchase, technically I'm all good.
Yeah.
So like I just thought of that because I've done that before, and it was just like a blue cake with clouds on it, and it had like a rope I think made of fondant like going around it, like Woody's rope.
Yeah.
And then just the toys on top. So that's kind of like a way to do it, but oftentimes people want much more involved. Like they want a Paw Patrol cake and they want like a badge on it and like trees and grass and all this stuff, and I'm like, no, not my style. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I respect that. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm curious, like, because some people probably, Walmart definitely don't care. I mean, maybe they got the licenses, but they'll do it. You tell them whatever, and it's like, okay, it's a Walmart cake.
They have like approved, licensed like edible images they can use, and then there's this company called Deco Pack, and they somehow have the rights to sell like Disney kind of figures. Honestly, I don't really know how all that works, but like Walmart is doing it legally. They just have like workarounds, or they can pay Disney for these specific like images that they're allowed to use.
Yeah. And I'm sure not too many people are like reporting them to Disney either. Like, hey, Walmart gave me this cake. Like,
well, a company as big as Walmart would get caught if they were trying to do something illegal, like for sure, because Disney will go after small bakers. So
really?
Yeah, especially in Florida or in California. Yeah, a lot of people don't know this. Something about Disney is they will come after small businesses.
Baker.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Because people go to Disney, they want to celebrate their birthday. They want, a custom like Minnie Mouse cake or whatever to enjoy like at the resort or at the hotel
room.
Cake
that a baker made for them to Disney?
I don't think they would be able to bring it in the parks, but even just people who live in Orlando who love Disney, like there are bakeries in Orlando that will just make a Disney themed cake, and they're not bringing it into Disney or whatever, but they'll post a picture of it and Disney comes after them. Whoa. Yeah.
Wow.
They're not fucking around.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy.
Holy shit, man.
No,
that's scary.
It's the same with like decorating companies. Like if you're like recreating a copyrighted image or whatever, like they'll come for you 100%. They will not hesitate.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, they have a legal team to do it.
Yeah. No, they got the money.
Which is another reason it's like, okay, in theory, sure, I could do copyright cakes and just not post them.
Yeah.
But if the client, it's hard. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, I get it.
It's just not. And again, that's not really my style. I'm not really interested.
Yeah.
So,
and if you sign up for Disney Plus too, you can't even like die at their theme parks without, you don't even have a right. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's insane.
I
For people that
know.
don't know, I'll just quickly touch on it. There was somebody, I can't remember if it was a man or woman, got into like, there was a serious like incident at a Disney park. Mm-hmm. They got hurt. It was most likely Disney's fault that they were hurt. And because of some weird like stipulation in the terms and agreement or terms of service for when you sign up for Disney Plus, there's something in there that like if you get hurt at a Disney theme park that they are not liable. And I believe there's like a class thing going on with that right now, but that person is kind of
there are there's a number of people that have like died in the parks, but they take them out of the park to officially pronounce them dead so they can say no one's ever died at Disney.
That's insane.
I know this is a hot take. I don't fuck with Disney. I don't get Disney. I don't like it. I know there's a lot of people that are like really into Disney.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I've never gotten it.
Really?
We were never like a Disney family either. Like,
yeah.
The Disney college program is like so absurd to me.
I've got a friend that actually did the Disney college program.
No disrespect on your friend, but
no,
that shit is actually crazy.
She has crazy things to say about it. So, I mean, just lots of stuff she loves about it. But I know she's met some, there's some interesting and also illegal things going on in the college programs.
A lot of like labor laws that are just like not adding up at all.
Yeah.
Or like workarounds. So many workarounds with Disney college program. We can't get into this because I'll go into a whole thing about like labor laws and how absurd Disney is. And yeah.
No, I'm with you.
It's
I think everybody's with you on that one.
Yeah.
I don't know too many people that would agree or stick up for them.
Yeah.
Okay, I know we're probably getting close to the hour, so I don't want to. Are we getting close there, Alyssa? I figured we were getting close. So I want to hit. There's a few like quicker questions I want to hit.
For sure.
What's the secret if I'm baking a cake at home? What's the secret to a moist cake? How do I make sure, like, if I'm cooking a box cake, if I'm cooking it from scratch, like what are like the mistakes that maybe people, if they don't bake cakes, they're like, I want to surprise my girlfriend with a cake, or I want to make a cake for my son, or whatever.
A lot of people think that butter is always better than oil because they think it's a more like pure ingredient. When it comes to frosting, that's true. When it comes to cakes like need oil to be spongy. And so it's I don't mean shortening. I mean like canola oil.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. You just have to like find a good recipe. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but oil is your friend when it comes to cake baking. A lot of people use like simple syrups on their cakes too, and that helps them be like nice and moist. But you're putting me on the spot here. That's kind of a hard question.
That's okay. No, I'm sorry. That's all right. I'm curious. So if I'm baking at home, what are I guess if you were oils and whatnot, okay. What would you say, like, if somebody wants to just like step up their, like if a mom wants to do better decorations on a cake for their kids, what would they do? What should they look? Who should they watch? I guess that's what I wanted to get to. Sorry, I lost train of thought there. Who were the people that maybe you were watching like on like YouTube or like content wise? Did you like ever like look up like people? You said you got inspiration from like Pinterest and stuff like that. Who were the creators or maybe people giving out recipes that you were like looking towards when you were getting started?
Sugar Geek Show, Liz at Sugar Geek Show has amazing recipes, great cake recipes.
Yeah.
She's got a lot of good recipes, like period. As far as like technique goes, honestly, I didn't really watch a lot of like YouTube to learn decorating because I learned a lot of it like at my first job or in my college program. But I would say get some like, if you want to like consistently make better cakes for your family, like invest in like, and it's not even a big investment, but in like a turntable, like get a Wilton turntable or use like a nice Lazy Susan or like something that spins.
Yeah.
That will make your life a lot easier. I would say, especially if you're a beginner, don't focus too much on the intricate details. Worry about like colors and just getting like a nice base on there. And then there's a lot of different ways to decorate cakes with like fresh fruit or flowers or like, toys if your kids like toys. Don't worry too much about the actual decorating part when you're starting out because there's a lot of ways to decorate cakes that are like much more straightforward than trying to like make Barbie's face on a cake, which wouldn't go well for like even me. Like, I don't know. Set realistic expectations. Get like a nice offset spatula. Get like a metal scraper or an acrylic scraper. Just like if you're watching a lot of videos, you'll see the tools people use for everything and just like invest in those tools.
Yeah. And like you said, maybe it's going to run you some money at the beginning, but if you enjoy it or you're passionate about it, you're going to be making, stuff for a while. So
especially if it's your kids. Like, I don't know if you have young kids and you want to keep making their birthday cakes, it's worth it. It's only, for like a Wilton turntable, an offset spatula scraper, a few different like piping tips, that's like maybe $50.
Really?
And that's, just the beginner stuff just to get you to a point.
To be able, to make some stuff for your kids. Yeah. That's nothing crazy. And like we said before, like, the cakes that like our parents were making for us or ordering for us when we were younger, like were they probably the craziest, nicest cakes of all time? No, but like when I was a kid and I saw that Anakin was on my cake, I freaked out. So
exactly.
That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's something you haven't done yet? Cake wise, maybe pastry wise, something that you want to do, that you would be interested in either making or designing, or it could maybe even not cake related, just something you want to do that you haven't done yet.
I do a lot of gingerbread around the holidays, and I have a lot of like bucket list gingerbread things that I want to make. One that's been on my list for literally like 6 years since I made my first gingerbread house is I really want to make the Milwaukee Art Museum out of gingerbread.
Whoa.
And I say this every year, like, this is the year I'm going to do it. And then I still haven't. So now, like, I know someone who works there. Like, I could very much, like, make that happen. I'm so intimidated. And I'm like, I don't know if I have the skills actually to do it. So then I just talk myself out of it, even though.
You could do it. And there's no better time. They just added the lights to it this year.
I know.
You know, like you could do something really cool.
I know. That's my dream, is to reach out and be like, hey, I'm like I know what I'm doing. I'm not just like some lady. Here's some gingerbread stuff I've made in the past. Like, I really know what I'm doing. Would you let me like donate a piece to the museum and you can do whatever you want with it kind of deal. I would love to do that.
That would be super cool. If you did it, would you like, so you would do it out of gingerbread? So would it be brown, or would you like?
It would be the amount of time I've spent thinking about this is crazy. I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. The structure would be made out of gingerbread. I would do a lot of like white piping on it to make it look more like festive, like icicles, probably some edible glitter. And I would use like blue ice malt, which is like sugar, but a little bit different, to do like the windows. Yeah. And it wouldn't be that hard to put lights in it. Honestly, the hardest thing is the curve of the actual building. It would be really hard to make windows for that because it's curved. Like, I just don't know how I'd do that. I'm sure there's a way. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But then the actual, like, I'm sure there's a name for them, but the actual like wings of the art museum,
they pop off.
that are like long. I don't know if I would do that out of gingerbread or out of royal icing. So.
But either way, the wheels are already turning. So if somebody from the art museum is listening, then this is the proof of concept. Let her do it.
Hit me up.
Let her try. That would be super cool. I think that would be awesome. And like we said, like they just added those lights like earlier this year, so no better time to do it than now.
I can't imagine they would say no, or they would say like, I don't know, if I'm giving it to them for free and it looks fucking cool. I'm like, they're not gonna say no, right? It's just I need to like have enough faith in myself that like I can do it, that I can figure it out.
Yeah. Well, if they say, they're not going to say no. They're saying yes. We're manifesting it right now. They're going to say yes. They're going to say yes. What was the first cake that, so the first cake, not the first cake that blew up on social media. What was the first cake that you made and you felt like, oh, like this is good? Like, cause I know that can be difficult. Like I'm a musician. I remember like you start making songs, like they're bad and you're trying really hard and you might like elements of them, whatever. But like, I remember like the first song where I was like, oh, this like is like actually like this is good, like this is listenable, like I enjoy this, I see that people I'm showing it to enjoy it. Like, what was like the first cake where you were like, oh, I'm here, like this is the one?
Okay, I have like a really early answer when I like thought I was hot shit, and then I have like a real answer like later.
Okay, give me both of them.
Okay, the first one was when I was still in high school, so I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And I just, for funsies, I don't know, I got like this set of pans that were like really like small and shallow. They were like basically pancake pans from Wilton, and I did like an ombre thing, so I did like shades of like red, and it got like each layer, it was probably like 4 or 5 layers, and every layer like got a little lighter in color. And I didn't cover the whole thing in frosting. I just did frosting like between the layers, and then I put a bunch of raspberries on top. And I was like, this is peak excellence. This is like,
yes, chef.
This is it. Literally, call me chef. Like, I don't want to hear it from anybody. And I tweeted a picture of it when I was, like 16. And I said, I'm going to drop out of school and become a pastry chef.
Wow. Holy shit.
Still lives on my Twitter page.
Leave that there.
It's like low-key, like the most iconic thing I've ever tweeted. Because I did not drop out of school, but I did become a pastry chef. And I really manifested that at age 16
did. So
or
then
whatever.
what was the one that you felt like was the real one then after that?
Yeah.
That blows that one out of the water.
I don't know if there's like one, but one where I felt like I had really like was really like in my element was the very first like wedding photo shoot I ever did, which was styled photo shoots are like a big thing in the wedding industry, and it's kind of crazy that my first one was like a really, really cool artistic editorial style shoot. It was at a Frank Lloyd Wright house in Two Rivers. And I don't know how they found me, but they like found me, asked me to do it, and I was so nervous. Now I do styled shoots like all the time. I haven't done as many lately.
What's
but
a
like
styled shoot for someone who doesn't know?
For sure. Great question. It's when usually a photographer and a wedding coordinating person or company or like a design company, they plan it, and it's like they set up a tablescape, they set up like they have a venue, they borrow a wedding gown and a tux, and they have like models come in and they set it all up to look like a real wedding, but it's just a photo shoot, and they have a florist, and like a lot of people don't realize this, but like most of the pictures you see on Pinterest of these like incredible styled tablescapes and these really huge incredible cakes in this picture that's so perfectly lit and shot, that's not a real wedding. And that also hurts the wedding industry, I think, because people can come in with really unrealistic expectations.
So people, okay, so let me get this straight. So if I'm getting married, I'm gonna have my real wedding, but maybe sometime before or after I'm gonna do this.
The actual clients are not involved. It's just for the vendors.
Oh, it's just for them.
Yeah. So basically, the photographers then give you back like a bunch of images from the shoot, and then you can use those for marketing, promo. You can post them, so it's like tit for tat.
Yeah,
it's like
so
I
you
make
guys
a
are
free thing.
It's promo for each of your businesses.
Exactly.
It's like I'm the photographer. Like, look at how good I am at shooting weddings, but it's kind of like a setup thing.
Exactly.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Like the florist is getting the same thing. Like, look how beautiful my flowers look at this, and the cakes and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's oftentimes a chance for a vendor to do something really, really cool and creative and innovative and modern. Something that a client wouldn't normally pick or wouldn't be willing to pay for, which I totally understand that. But that's why oftentimes they're so extravagant and lavish. Yeah. And it's like, no one would pay for that in real life.
but showcasing it, you mean you're going to like just open people up to ideas that might be similar to that, or they might want an element of that or whatever.
Yeah.
And being able to show kind of like, this is what I can do. Like if I had
exactly. Like if you trust me, this is what we can come up with.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. So it was the first styled shoot I ever did, and I did this like uber tall, like super, super, super tall tiers. It was a 3-tier cake with fondant, and it had a really cool organic looking like design. Yeah. And I stressed about it so much. And I delivered it, and everyone was like, loved it. And I got the photos back, and just like working with other professionals in that kind of setting at that kind of shoot, seeing this wedding cake I made, I was like, okay, we're in it. We did it. Like, we're in the wedding industry. Like, you can do this. You're capable of this. Yeah. And you can be like taken seriously as a wedding vendor.
Yeah. Wow. That had to be validating.
It really was, being so nervous about it and all the transport. Also, this was still really when I was starting out, and like I was not making a lot of money for my business at all, and I had a really like piece of shit car, and it literally broke down on the way back from the shoot. It was like,
on the way back. Jesus.
Well, okay, it was like making weird noises on the way there, and I was like, please, God, get me to Two Rivers. Like, I need to get to Two Rivers, please. I got there, and I was so stressed the whole time, but I was trying to like keep it cool. And I was like, my car might have to like literally get towed from this street in Two Rivers, like with all these other wedding professionals.
Dude, that's the dream right there, though. That's so cool. I mean, it sucks in the moment, but like looking back, like that's the hustle. Dude.
Yeah.
I respect that. That's cool.
I was making like no money at all. Like, it's actually so crazy looking back at like that I really just trusted the process.
Yeah.
For this long.
The universe was guiding you, dude. That's crazy.
Well, also, I mean, credit where credit's due. Like, my husband was like a huge part of like, we only got married a year ago when things were like going well for Whisk and everything. So this was before we actually got married. But when we were dating and like a year into us living together, I quit my job, and like I don't know a lot of people whose partners would just like blindly support them in like quitting their full-time job. It is a huge risk financially, like huge risk. And he was just like all for it from day one.
He saw the vision.
Yeah.
And you gotta, honestly, that's a beautiful thing to have with somebody. So like, honestly, shout out to him for being there. That's solid. And it
worked out,
right? So
he always jokes like, I'm supporting this. You're so good at it. And one day I want to be like a stay-at-home podcast husband. And I know if you stay on this trajectory, that one day we'll get there.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, you already can't even keep up with all the orders right now.
Yeah.
So like, that's good news. We're right there. We're getting there. Okay. What are the best box cakes in your opinion? Or what is your favorite? Like
Betty Crocker. Oh my God. I tried a new one she has that's like banana flavored.
Really?
Really good.
Banana flavored Betty Crocker cake.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or I think it was Betty Crocker brand, but it was Dolly Parton's line. So Dolly Parton did a line of cake mixes with Betty Crocker. I think it was Betty Crocker. It must have been. But it was like her cake line. And then she did like a coconut one and like she did like a couple other ones that were different, but the banana one was good. Yeah. I don't know if they still sell the banana one in particular, but like her line of cake mix is yummy.
Is legit. Okay.
Yeah.
But what about maybe frosting, like store-bought frosting?
Store-bought frosting, big no. Never store-bought frosting. I know some people just like to eat it, and you do you. Like, hats off to you. Like, you do you. But it is like impossible to decorate with store-bought frosting. That's something you always have to make yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Interesting. Do you have any that you like the flavor of store-bought?
Chocolate.
Just chocolate.
But that's probably it. The vanilla one's so nasty to me.
I like the funfetti. I'm not gonna lie. I don't.
The funfetti frosting?
I think Betty Crocker has one that like has the chips in the frosting.
Oh.
So good. I can't remember. Maybe it's them or it's the other. Maybe it's Pillsbury. I can't remember who has it, but one of them has it where it's like in the frosting. Okay. And that shit. I mean, you don't got to put it on anything. Like I got a bad sweet tooth. I would just eat a scoop of that at the end of the night and be like,
power to you.
I don't need to eat anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fire to me. Okay, so we touched on the box tip or the box cakes, transporting cakes, making cakes at home. What else did I want to get to today? How I got put onto your stuff was a friend of mine ordered a cake from you, and I'm curious. So we'll pull up the cake.
Okay.
He's a good friend of mine. Like we go way back. And I'm curious. I want to know like. I want a little bit of the tea on like this situation. Like how was he when he pulled up to pick this up? It should be, I think if you go to her Instagram, it's on the Instagram.
It's definitely down on TikTok too. Yeah.
Right there. This is the cake though. Okay, tell me what was said to you. So we could this character, his name's Salvador. He's been on the show briefly, and he's done a bunch of stuff behind the scenes for us. I know he was getting this cake for his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. I'm going to just let you take the floor then. You tell me what's going on.
Okay. He was very sweet, for the record. No complaints. Only good things to say. He just said, my girlfriend wants a vintage aquarium theme cake. And he sent like a few different inspo pictures. But the inspo pictures were like kind of like a lot of different themes going on. And I understand because... I mean, what does vintage aquarium mean? Like, you can't really search for inspo. And he really just said, like, do your thing. Like, I trust you. So these are images to kind of go off of. But that theme, like, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't really, like, exist in cake world. Yeah. So
I'll be honest with you. Until I started following you, I didn't even know that vintage was a style cake. So now I know.
It's big the last few years.
Huge, yeah,
huge. So I thought he kind of... he was like, I don't know if like heart-shaped or round cake would be better, but I thought for this theme in particular, I thought round shape would just like hit a little harder. Mm-hmm. I can't explain why. Some cakes I get the heart thing, other cakes I don't so much. Just depends. But he sent me some more like ocean vibes, but then there were a couple cakes that had koi fish on them and like lily pads, and I was like, that's beautiful. Like the inspo pics were so pretty, and I just didn't want to overdo it, so I only stuck to 2 colors. And then I wanted to do seashells because also I have some like seashell shell molds, like chocolate molds. That would just be like easier to use. And then the pearl is kind of like a underwater
cool. I mean, it's
motif.
Beautiful. It's like such a clean design. Like
Thank
it's clean
you. So that's where the aquarium part comes in, because I was like, how do I not just make this like ocean themed?
Yeah.
Because they didn't say ocean theme, they said aquarium theme, which is why I stuck to those. I feel like those. And this might be silly to say about a color, but I feel like that's kind of a vintage color look, that kind of like Wedgwood and more of like a teal color.
The blue that like is the majority of the cake, like the lighter blue, it's almost like it's muted a little bit in a way.
Exactly, it's giving retro a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I still did not, I thought I might want to put seaweed on it or sand, but again, just wanted to stick to aquarium. And then I was so inspired by those koi fish that I made a few out of fondant to put on top.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if they know this, if they like saw the video at all, but there were a lot of people that were mad about koi fish.
Really? Can you click the next slide? Because I know there's like a close up on the koi fish. Why are people mad about the koi fish?
They were mad because they're like, koi fish are freshwater fish. And I'm like, yep, this is a cake.
Yeah.
For sure, yes. Koi fish are freshwater cake, and don't worry, no koi fish were harmed in the making of this cake.
What, we can't put koi fish in a freshwater aquarium?
We can put them in a freshwater aquarium, but I think people don't realize that seashells exist in like lakes also.
Yeah.
Different kind.
Also,
different kind of vibe.
If I have fish at home. I had a friend who had a giant fish tank, and we put Lego sets in there. So I don't think
aquarium.
It's in my house.
They're decorative shells.
Yeah.
They're not real. You know how you get an aquarium and you put like the fake stuff in it?
You put the little submarine guy at the bottom.
Right.
Yeah.
It's an aquarium. Like that's literally the point. That's why I didn't put.
See, that's why you ended up going against seaweed and making it a big ocean.
Yeah, exactly. So people.
Wow, you had controversy over this cake.
But also I think that's whenever there is something controversial like that on a cake, everyone wants to comment it.
It does better.
And then it does so much better. Yeah, so it's so funny. I'm like, you guys, it's not that serious. It is just not that serious. It's a cake. And also that's the beauty of something like this, is that it doesn't have to follow the rules. You can put I'm trying to think of an example. You can make orange hydrangeas on a cake. Yeah, do orange hydrangeas exist? No, they don't.
Yeah, I don't even know what a hydrangea is. So
it's like a big fluffy flower. Usually they're like white or green or blue or purple. Yeah. But like who cares?
Yeah.
I'm making it, so we're going to make it whatever color you want.
Yeah, that's like wild to be upset about that. People were really mad at you for that. That's crazy.
Not mad, but there's a lot of, well, actually, I get that all the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, or like I made a like brat themed cake.
I saw that
for
one.
like
that was cool.
Charlie XCX, and they wanted like not for Charlie. Oh my God, can you imagine? For someone else's birthday.
Yeah.
And they wanted cigarettes on it, and I accidentally, and I'm just exposing myself for being like so clean cut, but I put the ash on the wrong side. I put the ash of the cigarette on the filter side.
The orange side.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I felt, and I sent a picture to my friends or something, and one of them pointed it out like before the client picked up. So then when she picked up, I was like, hey, I'm so sorry, like, because it was too late to fix it. And I was like, I just didn't know. Like, I'm really sorry I put it on the wrong side. And she was like, oh, it's fine. Like, we don't care. Like, don't worry about it at all. It's all good. And then I wanted to say something in the TikTok because I'm so, like, defensive. And I, like, don't want people to, like, pick and prod at things. But I was like, if I don't say anything, I'm going to get 100 comments about this. And then I did. And that video has, like, over 1 million views. Yeah. So it's like, well.
Yeah, why not, right? And it's probably more brat of you to light the other side of the cigarette.
That's what people said too. People are like, that's so, brat is drunkenly lighting the wrong side of your cigarette. And I'm like, period. Yeah. Exactly.
There we go. That's cool. Okay, so to wrap up the vintage aquarium thing, when he picked it up, was he nervous carrying it out? Did he look okay? Because that's what like...
Full circle moment here. Honestly, I don't remember. I just remember he was like, holy shit. He was like, whoa. Yeah. Like, I don't think he really knew what to expect because how would you? Yeah. And he was like, oh my God, that's like really, really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. He didn't. hold it in any kind of way that like stuck out to me. So that's probably a good sign.
Good. Yeah, he wasn't like grabbing it from the sides. Or
No.
it made it home. So because I remember hearing about it. So
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah, it's funny because so my girlfriend had been following you for a while, and then like we just saw like they had sent us a picture of the cake when it was her birthday, and we were like, oh, that's a cool cake. Like that's awesome. Then she sees the video like a week or two later or whatever on TikTok, and she's like, these motherfuckers didn't even tell me that it was this girl that I bought, like whatever. And so like it was a whole thing. And they don't know you're on the show today, so I'm kind of, that's like my get back at them.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
no, it worked out. It's kind of funny. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
That's so cool, dude. So cool.
Thank
I'm happy
you.
that it did well and that they liked it.
Yeah, me too.
How did you do the fish? How did you do the koi?
Well, you can watch the TikTok and
I've seen the video, but for people, for maybe someone listening, how would if you were to do something similar, like when you're doing shapes like that?
Yeah. Well, it's fondant, so I just shape it with my hands. It's tough because fondant's not like clay where you can just like add or take away. Like it wrinkles really easily, so you kind of have to have like the right amount to start out with. You kind of start making like the base shape, and then you just sculpt all the little details. But it is hard because it will dry, it will crack, so you're kind of under like time constraints. And then I just used like food dye and vodka to paint on it.
Yeah.
And I use vodka because or Everclear because it evaporates really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And then you're just left with paint color, no taste, no nothing.
Yeah.
It's just a really easy way to make like paint that dries super quick. Because also food coloring itself, like the nice like gel food coloring that I use, that's another tip for beginners. You should use gel food coloring. Don't use the stuff you can buy at the grocery store.
Gel food coloring.
I like Color Mill or AmeriColor is what I use. AmeriColor I use for everything.
Okay.
But now I lost my train of thought.
Okay, so you use gel.
To paint it. So you just mix the food coloring with an alcohol, and then it thins it out a little bit. It makes it more like watercolory. Because if you were to just use food dye, it would be too dense. It would be a really dark color. Yeah. But then it completely evaporates. There's no alcohol actually on the cake.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that you'd have to use alcohol at all, so that's interesting.
One of those things you just like learned over the years.
Trade.
Yeah.
Okay, well, is there anything we didn't get to yet today that like you want to let people know, or any other like lasting tips that you'd like to give someone that wants to get into cakes, or something that you'd just like to get off your chest about cakes in general?
I would like to say, if you've ever reached out to me and you didn't get a response, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I would just like to say that I'm so sorry. It's not personal, and I love you, and I'm sorry. Otherwise,
and reach out again. Who knows?
You can always follow up via email. I'm more likely to see it that way.
Yeah.
But if you're a beginner, just stick with it. Don't try to do everything at once.
Yeah.
Try to work on smaller things first. It's like the first time you do anything, you don't want to do like all the hard stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Some people try to start out and then they use like all the crazy techniques on one cake. And it's like, just start with something more basic. And also you always have an excuse to practice because you're always going to have like a friend or a family member with a birthday.
Yeah.
That's what I did. In high school, I would just like anytime my friend or anyone had a birthday, I would make like so many cakes for people just for fun.
Yeah.
And also that like really sticks with them. Like I know some people that are like, you made my birthday cake when you were 17 and now look at you, and I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. And also I don't know if I remember even what it was because I made so many. Yeah.
Well, that's cool though.
Yeah.
And it's cool because like the kind of cakes that you're making and especially designing like someone's birthday cake or even a wedding cake, like those are things people are going to remember for a while. So like you are like sort of aiding in this very special moment, whatever that moment is, whether it's Valentine's Day, a birthday, a wedding or whatnot. So that's got to feel cool that like you're sort of a part of these people's special day in some capacity.
Exactly. You know? I always say like food is love, and like if someone is going through something that's really hard or really exciting, like we celebrate with food. You bring them a casserole, or you go out to eat, or you celebrate a birthday with a cake, or like that's like one of the most human ways to like really show love for another person is through food. And I think it's so sweet that has just like happened in culture and humanity is like when someone's going through something, you bring them food. Like that's what you just do.
Yeah.
And I am obviously like a very small niche of that, but like it's just so special to be like part of people's special moments.
Gotta be rewarding, I imagine.
Yeah.
I appreciate you for coming on the show. Do you have any questions for me before we wrap up here, or any last remarks or anything?
I don't think so. I'm happy to be here. Your space is so cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thanks for being on the show, taking the time. Especially, I know like you've probably got cakes to bake, and videos to edit about them. So I look forward to seeing them.
Thanks.
I want to say, so your stuff we'll have all of MK stuff linked down below. It'll all be linked in the description of this video. So if you guys want to reach out to her, go follow her, check out some of the videos, especially like the vintage aquarium one that we talked about, some of the other cakes we talked about. Those videos are on TikTok, so you can go find those. They've got millions of views. Really cool stuff. You can check those out. Otherwise, you can reach out to her. You said email is pretty good for like booking if they want to like inquire about maybe getting a cake.
If you want to inquire about getting a cake, you should go to my website whiskcake.com.
Oh, yeah, you can fill it out over
and
there,
click inquire, and then you can fill out my order form, and then if you don't hear back, just email me. And I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, you've got a lot of stuff going on. So, bring some heat if you're going to fill out that order form.
Bring me some fun stuff to do. Some fun ideas.
But otherwise, guys, I want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight live, as well as those that are going to be listening days after over on Spotify or watching on YouTube in perpetuity. I also want to say a quick shout out to our patrons. Be up on the screen right now. Alyssa's got them pulled up. Appreciate you guys. If you want extra behind-the-scenes access to more videos, more podcasts, as well as a series where I break down, I mix, master, write, record every single one of my songs. Go to patreon.com/Darren Rita. You can help support the channel for as little as $1. That's patreon.com/Darren Rita. And you get shout out at the end of every episode as well. Want to also quickly say shout out to Alpine House 2 for sponsoring another episode of the show. That's at Alpine House 2. And this has been the 270th episode of the Detox Podcast. I will see you guys next week. Peace.